Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. How are you all? Can you hear me? How are you all? Can you hear me? Subhana, are you listening me? Okay, Ramla, are you listening me? Okay. Today's lecture is lecture number 14 and chapter name is Pakistan Movement. So open your book. This is today's lecture is about page number 81. So open your book, page number 81. Okay, beta, open your book, page number 81. Rumesa, are you listening me? Okay. So beta, open your books, page number 81. And today's lecture number 14 and chapter name is Pakistan Movement. So you have a pen or pencil with you. Uh, Now today we will discuss the other important things which made possible struggle of Pakistan, or those events made it possible to gain freedom from British, and made another free country named Pakistan. So this chapter is all about the Pakistan movement. So Bismillah Rahman Rahim, we will start our lecture. As I told you that our chapter name is Pakistan movement and it is on page number 81. So you can see the heading 1927 till 1946, the rising. It, we will discuss today the important events and remarkable things which were being caused for the freedom struggle and for the freedom. So during the we will discuss the era 1927 till 1946, and during these years the most important things were happened, and we will discuss all the about these important things. So first of all we will discuss the 14 points, about the 14 points, and 14 points were being presented by Qaid-e-Azam. Okay, Muhammad Arif, can you hear me? So, after the elections of 1926, open your book on page number 81. I repeat, page number 81. Open your book. Okay. So 14 points. First of all, we will discuss about the 14 points, and you can see that it is also on your book. So as I told you that 14 points were being presented by Qaid-e-Azam, and the 14 points are the answer of the Nehru report, which was presented by Nehru. um and only 2 years after the elections of 1926, as I told you in my previous lecture about the elections 1926, in which the Muslims were very much enthusiastic, and they showed very much enthusiasm in participating these elections, and these are the separate electorates, and Allama Iqbal at that time was totally separate from the politics, but because the Muslims were very much excited for being participated in the elections. So Allama Iqbal, as I told you, who stayed from the practical politics until then, also stood as a candidate for the Provincial Assembly of Punjab and became elected. So this is the background of the 14 points. So only 2 years after the elections of 1926, the Congress demanded that separate electorates should be abolished. So Congress, first of all, Congress was agreed that there should be separate electorates, but when the Muslims Muslim became elected, then most of the Muslims, especially Allama Iqbal and the other leaders, became elected. Then after the elections of 2 years after the election of 1926, the Congress demanded that the separate electorates should be abolished, and this demand came out in the Nehru report in 1928. Congress was the party of Hindu majority, as well as Jawaharlal Nehru was the leader of Hindus. So Nehru wrote a report or prepared a report in 1928, in which he told uh, all about the beneficial things for the Hindus, and he demanded many type of points in it for the Hindu majority and for their betterment. And then in this report, the Hindus or the Congress also demanded that the separate electorate should be abolished. So in March 1929, Jinnah presented the demands of Muslims in the form of 14 points. So in the answer of the Nehru report, because I told you that the Nehru was the leader of the Hindus, and the Hindu party was the political party was the Congress. So they demanded that the Muslim separate electorate should be abolished. So in March 1929, Nehru report was presented in 1928, and 14 points were being presented in 1929. In the 14 points, Jinnah presented the demands of the Muslims also in the form of 14 points. So, if the Nehru presented the demands of the Hindus in Nehru report in 1928, then the Jinnah also presented 14 points, and also told the British government about the demands of Muslims in 1929. Is it clear? So in his 14 points, Qaid-e-Azam told or demanded many type of things, which he also demanded many points, which were also in the which were also in the favor of the Muslims. But some of the main points are like that: no cabinet, either central or provincial, should formed without there being at least one third of Muslim ministers. It means that if any government will be established, there should be the cabinet, and in the cabinet, any type of cabinet will be incompleted with the if there will not the Muslims. So he said that no cabinet, either central means in the central government or the in the provincial government, should be formed if they formed any type of the government, and if they formed any type of the cabinet. Cabinet means beta a group of the people who are elected by the vote of the people, and they if they got majority and they establish their government, then some of them were included and also are included in the most in the cabinet. And cabinet is actually group of people who took care of the at that time, who took care of the affairs of the different departments, and or as and today's as well. So in present present governments, there is cabinet also in the central government and as well as in the provincial government. If our country has four provinces, so there are four cabinets which are working in the provincial side, and then central cabinet is also present here. So the member of the cabinet were the actually head of the some important departments of the country. So Qaid-e-Azam demanded that no cabinet in the central or the provincial government should be formed without the representation of the Muslims. So this is the actually dissolve beta, dissolve or being ended. So I also told you the meaning of cabinet. Is it clear in your mind, the meaning of the cabinet? Okay. Okay. So like this, another point of 14 points, another main point was no change shall be made in the constitution by the central legislature except with the um, uh, except with the admittance of the state, or the constituting the Indian Federation. So Qaid-e-Azam also said that there should be no change in the constitution of the Federation of India without without the admittance of the Muslim representatives. So he also said in one point, Sindh should be separated from Bombay presidency. At that time, Sindh was related with the Bombay presidency. So he also said that it should be separated, and also said that reforms should be introduced in the northwest frontier province and Balochistan on the same footing as in the other provinces, because these two provinces, KPK and today's KPK, and at that time it was called the North Frontier Province and the province of Balochistan. These are the majority Muslim majority holder provinces. So Qaid-e-Azam demanded that the reforms should be introduced in both of these provinces like other provinces where the reforms were being started. So these are the Muslim majority provinces. So reforms should be introduced there also. So another point is the constitution should be embody safeguards for the protection of Muslim culture and for the institutions and for their due share in the grants in aid given by the state and by itself governing bodies. So in this point, he also said that the constitution should be protected because in the constitution, the rules for the protection of the Muslims also given there and share along with the other things. So these are all the most important points, and one of the point is the form of the future constitution should be federal with the power vested in the provinces. So he also demanded that there should be a government like the central government, and then the central government will be attached with the provinces. So he also demanded the central government or the federal government. Federal government means the government which is present in the federal, and it has already given the all the authorities to the provinces and provincial governments, but the federal government is the head of the government. Is it clear? Any problem? Any question? Okay. So, beta, these are the most important 14 points which were being presented by Qaid-e-Azam, and most Muslim leaders were opposed to Nehru report in March 1929. Because of this, Jinnah presented the demands of Muslims in the form of 14 points, and Jinnah believed that Muslims would feel secure and the people of South Asia would be able to live together if these points were considered while making the new constitution. So Qaid-e-Azam also believed in this, that if these points will be considered by the British, so it will be possible for all the Muslims of India to live together, and if these points were considered and while making the constitution. So actually that time was the time of making new constitution, because the elections were held 2 years before. That's why Qaid-e-Azam presented 14 points in which he demanded all the points and all the important things which were necessary for the Muslims. He demanded all these things in the 14 points in 1929. You can see a picture. In the picture you can see Allama Iqbal. So the Allahabad address is also very important in the history. So in December 1930, Allama Iqbal presided over the annual session of All India Muslim League at Allahabad. He also predicted that this might be the final destiny. Final destiny means final destiny or final destiny after the long struggle of the Muslims, and the name of this final destiny will be the Republic of Pakistan. So of the Muslim, at least of the Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab and NWFP. So Lama Iqbal was very much confident that these four provinces were the Muslim majority provinces. So he wanted that if these four provinces should be combined, then this area will be the final destiny for the Muslims. So now we will discuss it in detail. As you know, Iqbal was elected, as I told you, that in the election 1926, Iqbal was also elected for the Provincial Assembly of Punjab. So his term lasted 4 years. So these elected persons governed 4 years, till 4 years, and he did not seek re-election. However, he never stopped participating in politics after that. So after that, Allama Iqbal did not want to participate in the elections, but he participated in politics afterward. In December 1930, as I told you, he presided over the annual, because he was the chief guest of this annual session of All India Muslim League. As I told you, that All India Muslim League was the Muslim majority party, and All India Muslim League was being developed or being formed at the platform of Mohammedan Educational Conference, which was formed by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So he presided over the annual session of All India Muslim League at Allahabad. Allahabad is a name of city in India. He suggested that provinces of Muslim majority in the northwest of South Asia should be grouped together to form an amalgamated Muslim state. So he also predicted means he also imagined that this might be the final destiny if the Muslims of, at least Muslims of Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, and NWFP will be together. Then it will be the new country with the free country of Pakistan was being there. So he predicted that this might be the final destiny of Muslims, at least of Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, and NWFB. Now it is being called Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Is it clear? So Iqbal said that these are the four provinces which were holding the Muslim majority, and uh, their boundaries were also attached with each other. So if the British government approved that demand of amalgamate of these four provinces, that then it might be the final destiny of the Muslims in the shape of new country. It's okay, Sumaya. Let's join the lecture. I will take I will give you the review at the end of my lecture. Then if you have missed any slide or point, then I will give the review for you at the end of the lecture. So open your book, page number, I told you that 81. Now open your books, page number 82. Okay, next one is the roundtable conferences in 1930, 1931, and 1932. The British government invited South Asian leaders to three roundtable conferences in London, and Jinnah was invited to the first two conferences, and he did not participate in the third conference. Is it clear? So there were round table conferences were being held, and you can see the picture of these round table conference, and you can see the different leaders in it, and this is the real picture of that time. And The round table conferences were being held in 1930, 31, and 32, and the British government invited South Asian leaders to the three round table conferences in London. So British government invited the South Asian Muslim leaders in London in three round table conferences, and to discuss. And these roundtable conferences, and the purpose of these roundtable conferences was that to discuss and to solve the conflicts between Hindus and Muslims, and to solve the conflicts between the three nations, between the three groups like British and Hindus and Muslims. So Jinnah was invited to the first two, but he became so disappointed with the politics of South Asia that he settled down in London to practice law, and he did not participate in the third conference. Iqbal was also invited to the second and the third conferences, and this brought an opportunity for the two great minds to hold several private meetings. And it is said that Jinnah invited Iqbal on many evenings for long discussions in private. So you can see that I told you that basically the thing is being remembered that in 1930, 1931, and 32, there were three roundtable conferences being held in London. So Qaid-e-Azam participated first two conferences, and he was also settled down in London for the practice of his law. So in the two conferences, Iqbal was also being invited, and this was a good sign for the Muslims that two great leaders were there together in London. So as I told you, that Iqbal was invited to the second and the third conferences. So it is said that Jinnah invited Iqbal on many evenings for uh, this. These words are incorrect, beta. These are for long discussions in private. Is it clear? In private means these discussions were not the part of any type of round table conference or any other conference, but they met privately, and they discussed about the problems of the Muslims, and they also discussed and tried to solve the different problems, solve the problems of the Muslims. And they also discussed how they started the struggle of Pakistan movement, or they started their struggle, and how they got their goal. So that's why it is said that Jinnah invited Iqbal. Iqbal was actually there for the roundtable conferences, and Qaid-e-Azam was there for the practice of his law practice. So they met together, and they discuss their problems with each other. So sometimes when two people come together who are different in many ways but believe in same principle, an opportunity arises for them to learn for each other. So it is an example, and it is saying, I'm telling to you that the Qaid-e-Azam had different state of mind, and Iqbal was a poet, scholar, and his aesthetic sense was very good. So the two different personalities were there, and they were being together there. Qaid-e-Azam invited Allama Iqbal. When it is said that when two other personalities, two different personalities met together, so it is believed that there should be always good, because the two personalities for different thinking will learn from each other, and will learn the experiences of each other, will learn the thoughts of each other, and they conclude a new and better thing. Is it clear? So it seems that this is what happened through the meetings of Iqbal and Jinnah in London. That two different personalities met together, and they discussed with the problems of different problems of the Muslims. And when they met together, then Iqbal was, because they were the two different personalities. As I told you, Iqbal was a scholar who knew Urdu, Persian, Arabic, Punjabi, Sanskrit, German, English, and Latin. So you can see how many languages he knew, and he could talk. And he had studied the literature of great Muslim writers as well as the literature of the West. Like Jinnah, he was also a barrister or lawyer by profession, although he had become more famous for his literary activities. Also, like Jinnah, he believed in the dignity of human beings. It seems that the convinced Jinnah that the only solution to the problems of South Asia was that Muslims should unite as a nation and work for their own demand of their own country. Is it clear? So this is very interesting and very easy thing. If you can, if you will listen me very carefully, you can understand very well this point, the round table meeting. And I will give you a very short review of this topic so you may understand it well. As I told you, that in 1930, 31, and 32, the British government invited South Asian leaders in London, and they invited Qaid-e-Azam in first two conferences, and they also invited Allama Iqbal in two conferences. Qaid-e-Azam was already there for their law, for his law practice, and they invited Allama Iqbal. So Qaid-e-Azam and Allama Iqbal also met there privately, and Qaid-e-Azam and Allama Iqbal were two different personalities. Qaid-e-Azam was a great leader, but he was by profession he was a barrister, and Iqbal had a great aesthetic sense. He was a poet, historian, and he knew many languages. He had a very good grip on many languages like Urdu, Persian, Arabic, Punjabi, Sanskrit, German, English, and Latin. So they were two different personalities, but they met together and they decided, they discussed all the problems of the Muslims of South Asia, and they learned many things from each other's experiences, and they both of them believed in the dignity of human beings. And so they decided and they conclude that the solution of South Asian Muslims was that they should unite as a nation and work for their own demands. So this is the review of So this is the review of this topic. So revival of the Muslim League, a new constitution for South Asia was introduced. As I told you that after the elections of 1926, when the time of new forming the formation of the new constitution, Quaid-e-Azam presented the 14 points uh, for the constitution, and which was called the Indian Act 1935, and it was made in formed in 1935, so it was called the Indian Act. Is it clear? So new constitution was called the Indian Act, and it was formed by the British. Some of the Jinnah's 14 points had been incorporated in it. So as I told you that Jinnah presented the demands of the Muslims for the rights of the Muslims. He demanded the rights of the Muslims in the constitution should be written in the constitution, and he presented 14 points for this purpose. So Muhammad Arif, turn off your camera. So as a result, when the constitution of 1935, which was called the Indian Act 1935, some of the Jinnah's 14 points were being included in the constitution. As a result of Jinnah's effort, the title of Qaid-e-Azam was given to him. So the when the demands of the Muslims and rights of the Muslim were being included in the constitution in the Indian Act 1935, it was a great thing for the Muslims that British recognized them, started to recognize them. So because of all these efforts of Qaid-e-Azam, the Qaid-e-Azam was, the title of Qaid-e-Azam was given to him. Is it clear? So this is the history of the title of the Qaid-e-Azam, was why the title of Qaid-e-Azam was given to him. So then the day of deliverance in 1939, world wars was started. The British declared that South Asia would participate in the war, and the Congress resigned from the different post and jobs of which were being given by the British to them. And because they were not agree that they would not wanted to participate in the war, but it had not been consulted. Qaid-e-Azam said that Muslims should celebrate this day as a day of deliverance. So because this day was the actually day when British announced that all the parties should be participated in the world war, but the Congress did not agree with them. Before this, Congress was always with the decisions of the British, which were always the against the Muslims. But at that time, Congress resigned because it has not been consulted. क्योंकि बेटा उनको इस डिसीजन से पहले पूछा नहीं गया था, उनसे कंसल्ट नहीं किया गया था, ब्रिटिश ने उनसे बिल्कुल भी कुछ नहीं पूछा था. दैट्स व्हाई द कांग्रेस रिजाइंड, and as I told you, it had not been consulted. So Qaid-e-Azam said that Muslims should celebrate this day as a day of deliverance. So beta, these are the questions for reinforcement. Look at these questions and give me the answers in your chat box. And those students who joined later, I will discuss with you that about the first point of 14 points, first topic of our today's lecture, that about 14 points. As I told you that Nehru presented Nehru report in 1928, in which there were the demands about the betterment and about the rights of the Congress, about the rights of the Hindus. So Muslims disliked this, and so Qaid-e-Azam also presented the demands of the Muslims, which should be included in the new constitution. And also Nehru report demanded that the elections in which the Muslim representatives elected were being elected. So this demanded that it should be abolished. So Qaid-e-Azam demanded the rights of the Muslims should be written in the new constitution. So he presented the 14 points in 1929. Give me the answers, beta. What was the demand of Nehru report? When did Allahabad address hold? Who gave the 14 points? When did Indian Act was passed? What is meant by Qaid-e-Azam? Yes, well done. Well done, Aisha. Muhammad Ali Jinnah presented the 14 points. Well done. What is meant by Qaid-e-Azam? Who will give me the answer? What is meant by Qaid-e-Azam? Write down in the chat box and turn off your mic, beta. Otherwise, I will call your name. I know, but I don't want to call your name. So turn off your mic and give me the answer. Where is Rabia, Rumesa? You are all
मामा
not
कायदे
participating.
आज़म का मतलब क्या होता है?
You are all not participating. What is the meaning of Qaid-e-Azam? Hurry up. Time is too short. Where is Saklan? Saklan, give me your answer. Yes, Halima. Meaning of Qaid-e-Azam is the great leader. Bada